Hello, everyone. It's Fizzozo here with Pope Metallica.
How's it going, man? Good to be back.
Here we talking about the show that was unfortunately slept on by the masses. Which is why it was canceled. This finale was canceled before it even gets a second season. This cartoon was called Pantheon. Came out around I think October 2022 or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. And it really, like you said, it really kind of flew under the radar. Probably because it was released on AMC Plus, which I know of
With
precisely zero people who have.
because here's the thing. Every this problem with modern day TV industry. Every single company has movie or film TV show company has to have their own streaming service.
Yep, I just saw the other day MGM is releasing their own now.
What?
Yeah,
What?
it's going to be MGM Plus, and it's the least creative thing ever. It's like at least come
Well, at least come one a new name instead of just X Plus. Like
yeah,
Disney already
yeah, exactly. Not just like insert production company here plus.
did. Like so, you need get a unique naming convention. It should be like every single video game console after Xbox be called what box.
Yeah, right. It's just like what the hell. It's like when you guys are putting your marketing department's putting as much thought into editing their shit as, or in creating their content as I do editing my videos, which I don't edit.
Exactly. Like what? But every single company has to have their own streaming service, which nobody's going to pay for. Otherwise, when back when it was just Netflix, people just pay for Netflix. People not going to pay for just one company's content. You're supposed to be a platform, not just a. It can't be a platform and just only publish your own stuff. That doesn't work.
Yeah, and what it's causing is fracturing and all this in the market to the point where people are not going to have all these subscriptions and keep track of all these passwords and stuff. So they're just going to dust off their tricorn hat and go sail in the high seas.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, imagine if Steam was just Valve software games. That's this is like.
Yeah, pretty much. And like and this was how the gaming industry was kind of leaning towards before Steam really gained popularity, was that pretty much every publisher would have their own little portal, like Origin for EA used to be. Those of you who know that piece of god awful software. And like have like a million different launchers with all your games from that specific company on it. It was the most hodgepodge thing, and it just didn't work. And that's why Steam and Epic Store and all that took off.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
the way
Yeah.
the market's going now. So rather than AMC trying to do a deal with, say, Amazon Prime or Netflix or whoever, and get this show released like Cyberpunk Edge Runners was, as kind of a subcontract from Netflix or whoever, they just kind of tried to do it on their own and didn't have anything else backing it up other than maybe what The Walking Dead.
And breaking what? Exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah, reruns of Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, and maybe Better Call Saul.
Yeah, like why didn't you release it on Peacock or something? If you want like or somebody else. You don't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
Like
forget who owns AMC, but like put it on, like you say, a Peacock or an HBO Max or
or
a
Tubi, or you
Paramount
start
Plus,
using Tubi sudden. Well, Tubi is its own independent company that doesn't
Tubi
make
or
anything.
Crunchyroll, something
Exactly.
like
But
something that specializes in animation. Like, go for it.
yeah,
Especially because
but
this is kind of an interesting format, and it's almost a Western anime.
not exactly. I mean, it's paced like anime, but everything else is Western.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's kind of like a Western, uh, an anime that's kind of done in the Western style, where everything's Westernized, but the pacing and the story kind of plays out like you're a single season anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a very interesting sci-fi concept, science fiction concept. Um,
Yeah, the concept and like the idea behind this is super cool.
mhm, mhm. Basically, they upload they kill people and upload their brains to a computer. To,
Or, I mean, I think the initial experiment was they were trying to see if they could pattern a human brain and basically save a person's personality through death.
yeah,
and it succeeds, but only kind of.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, but so the main character of the show is a teenage girl named Maddie.
Yep, and I
Uh,
do like the fact that they make her a very realistic teenager, and that she's not like this omnipotent thing that immediately knows what's going on. Like she's a teenage girl who, when you first meet her, is getting bullied by her classmates.
yeah, she's a major case of cyberbullying here, which
Mm-hmm.
was now. Now, when I first watched this show, I had no idea what the concept was or was going to be about. Um, I just clicked on the first episode. Um, and wow, this and wow, she's being heavily cyberbullied. Now, this show has a lot of twists and turns. When when I first put this on, what I assumed it was going to be about was some evil hacker guys killing people. That's what I was getting initially. Because if you know, I thought it would be just like Mr. Mercedes. Have you ever watched that show?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that was a really good show.
Okay.
At least first season. At least first season was amazing. But I I can't speak for anything after. That was based off a Stephen King book.
Okay.
Uh, some of Stephen King's more recent stuff. But but I thought it'd be just like that. We got hacker who's the evil hacker, who's a psychopath, and he's killing people. That's how I thought it was gonna be. So, uh, that's how
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
kind of
that.
interesting that you don't really have any clue what's going on other than this
Uh,
random anonymous person's talking to her through the internet.
yeah, exactly. Through DOS, which is fine, kind of weird, or something like some
Yeah,
of the DOS.
which is cool for like an older guy like me who grew up on DOS. So I'm like,
Mm,
oh, hey, I know what that is. That's a command prompt. I know you.
yeah. Yeah. But she get she gets contact with this weird guy who's sabotaged the bully social lives. Uh, and then his mom and then her mom gets suspicious. I forgot what the mom's name is. What's her name again?
Oh shit! What is her name? Anna?
Let me check. Let me Google it right now. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot the mom's name.
I just know
Uh,
her as Maddie's mom.
uh,
Um,
Pantheon. Uh, uh,
I think her name's Anna or something like that.
let's see. Ellen.
Okay, fair enough.
Uh, yeah. The mom's name is Ellen. Ellen sees it, gets suspicious. No, gets suspicious. Uh, well, obviously, her daughter's talking on the internet with some random guys. The guy she doesn't even know. So, she's an actual good, responsible mom. So, uh, I like that.
Yeah, like that's the cool part about all of this is these characters are very believable
Mm,
and very realistic in terms of their motivations, in terms of
mm.
how they act towards each other, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, because she's an actual responsible mother. Like she's not just going to ignore the fact that her daughter's chatting with a random guy. She doesn't even know nobody. She doesn't even know on the internet.
Yeah, and as
Um,
soon as she finds out, she justifiably freaks,
mm, mm,
just like you would if you caught your kid talking to some random person on the internet who knew everything about them.
yeah. Like she don't know his face, and she don't know him from school. Like who is this? Like
Yeah, and
like
the key to all this is you meet in the intro to Maddie, you learn that her dad died. What was it, 2 years before?
yeah, 2 years before from cancer.
Yeah, he
He
got
was
sick
12
and
at that
died
time.
fairly
Yeah,
suddenly, and it's just been her and her mom ever since.
yeah, uh, yeah, exactly. Uh, exactly, yeah. So and she was 12 at that time. So I was surprised. Yeah, yes. kind of weird seeing how but anyway, so anyways, and she went. We learned that the girl, the whoever she's chatting with knows everything about her. She be chatting two people. She's actually chatting two people at that point. She didn't know it. Or three people at that point. She didn't know it.
Yeah.
No, we may meet one of them in the next subplot after this. Her mom shows concern. And then she think her dead husband might be back.
Well, at the end, like towards the end of the episode, he starts. I believe he responds to Ellen with a quote that from a song that she loves.
Yeah, a song that she loves, exactly. So that's how she knows him somehow.
And then rather than being surprised, which you'd think she would be, she immediately gets on the phone and starts yelling at this doctor who we don't know who he is just yet.
Yeah.
And basically, like Maddie overhears it and overhears her mom say, "You told me this wouldn't happen."
Mm-hmm. So he was dead.
Yeah, so you told me he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, and then and then of course, and then we get the next subplot, which is about this character called Caspian. Now, what's named Caspian? Well, I just call him Casper. Uh, that's in the show they made that joke already.
Yep.
Because when she chatted to him, she was on the chat at the start of the show. She actually used a ghost to refer to herself, so the ghost emoji.
Yeah, and he's kind of getting involved with her in as far as the chat goes. She kind of runs into him on a forum about this somewhere, and they get to talking about
Logarithm.
About this corporation that's now getting involved.
But the Caspian Caspian's I thought initially I thought he was a villain at first. Though the show's good at twists and turns.
Yeah, they really don't telegraph anything in terms of who these characters are or what they're going to do, or really even who they are as people. You just kind of figure it out along the way.
No, the show made you think Caspian was a villain at first.
Especially because he's working with this company to try to cover up the truth.
No, he's not.
Well, he's not working with them, but he's being monitored by them.
Yeah, he's being monitored by them.
They kind of make you think at first that he's that he's one of theirs, and then you kind of realize that he has no idea that this monitoring is happening.
No, yeah, because keep in mind, the thing what make Caspian maybe think he's a villain at first is because how he looks, how he acts around the people. He looks like a stereotypical edgy teenager who might become a mass shooter or something.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way to describe him. He's kind of a loner. He's not really popular at school. And you meet him in class, I believe. And
yeah, you do meet him in class. He seems not interested
in on the internet.
Seems kind of like me or something.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's just like he's like us, where he spends way too much time on the internet.
No, he's almost exactly like me actually, but that's how I interact with people. But yeah, the show makes you think that kind of character is a villain, but no, he's not a villain. He's not a villain. He's not a villain. He's actually one of the show's main characters. He's actually one of the male leads of the show. But we meet we meet him. We know he doesn't like logarithms either. Yeah, like logarithms in this show is basically like standing for Apple.
Yeah, Apple or Google, pretty much picture.
The founder is literally Steve Jobs. It's going to name Stephen Hawking.
Oh yeah, I mean, when it comes to that, the founder is literally, like you say, literally copy pasted Steve Jobs.
Yeah, like he even looks the same, like the same dude.
Down to the black turtleneck and the wire glasses and everything. Like
no. His first name is even Steve. They changed it.
That's right. Yeah.
Look, like Stephen Hawking, like it's literally Steve Jobs. That's funny thing.
Yeah, it's essentially like for legal purposes, we can't call this man Steve Jobs.
Oh, this is a major twist for him later down the road. But that's not the first thing I saw do that. By the way, though, there's a Chinese cartoon movie I saw once called Next Gen that was really good, and that had Steve Jobs look like in the role as one of the main villains.
I feel like Steve Jobs is kind of like the copy pasted, like if you need kind of a shady tech, like super tech oligarch, like you
Hmm.
just cut and paste Steve Jobs in there and it'll work just fine.
Like it always Steve Jobs. Like he's never Mark Zuckerberg or nothing. It's just always Steve Jobs. So
Well, no, because he's the one that most people will know across the generations too. Like, yeah, Mark Zuckerberg in this day and age, maybe Jack Dorsey
mm,
or somebody like that might be a little more popular now. But if you want to go back to like when I was a kid or like the Gen Xers, Steve Jobs is like that, or Bill Gates are like the perfect
face
examples
there.
of super tech nerd that secretly controls the world.
Hmm. So we got anyways, we got the company called Logarithms. It's currently run by this guy named last name Pope. Forgot. Um. Uh. But anyways. Uh. Anyways. Logarithms. Actually. Both. Okay. Both. Maddie and Caspian know logarithms covering up something. You just don't know what it is. And then we see Caspian's home life, and well, it's not what it seems at first glance.
No, it isn't.
Uh, it's not at all.
And they're setting you up for the typical kind of edgy loner teenager from a broken home stereotype, and then they start throwing curveballs at you because it's not what it appears.
Yeah, like he is an edgy lonely teenager. His parents are not what they seem at first glance. We see that that the fault at first may seem like the dad's a douchebag and the mom is a normal housewife, but that's not the case at all. Because they just pretend and they just acting. It's
Yeah,
actually the other way around.
in fact, you find out not in the second episode, but much later that they're not even his real parents,
I know. Yeah, his real parents.
and they're in his life for a specific reason that we'll get into later.
Mm-hmm.
But while we're learning all this too, while you're meeting Caspian in episode 2, you're also getting a little bit of the
Cat in episode
backstory
one.
on Maddie's
Episode
father.
one. No, episode one. We meet
This is
Cat,
oh yeah, that's right. This is still episode 1.
and then in episode one, we also meet this character called named Chanda.
Yep.
Um, and I was surprised. The show winds up taking Chanda's path. Like when we first see Chanda, you think, okay, he might be one of the heroic scientist characters of the show. That's not the case. Yeah, not the case at all. Mm,
Yeah, because when you meet him, he's a kind, pretty nerdy, like tech guy.
yeah,
Where
yeah. And then now when we first introduced him, he talked about UIs. I was thrown for a loop because this up to that point, the show's been completely realistic.
yeah, so UI means user interface.
Yeah. So like I say, yeah, exactly. That's why I thought like up to that point, the show has been completely realistic. Like there's no sci-fi elements or fancy elements at all.
And I love
Up
how
to
they
that.
just let that develop naturally and let the audience figure it out. This is one thing I've loved about this show all along is it does not treat their audience like they're 5.
Yeah,
It treats them like you're a adult watching a TV show and have a functioning brainstem and can actually figure things out for yourself.
yeah. I love this. I love this type of mystery stories where you can actually figure it out for yourself.
Yeah,
That's
and
why.
like, when they start talking about UI and all that, and he's talking to some businessmen
Mm,
about it, so I'm like, okay, so maybe this guy has like some new user interface or a new operating system that's supposedly going to change the game and how people interact with computing.
no, he's talking about taking people and putting people in machines, turning
Yeah,
people into
what he
computer
means by
programs.
UI is what will the show will come to
Uploaded
define as
intelligence.
uploaded intelligence, which is exactly what it sounds like.
By the way, in real life, this happened recently. They got no UIs yet, but what they do, we recently, I did not find that somebody is growing brains in vats,
Yeah, they're
and
using neural tissue to try to compute with, and it does work.
yeah, like the next step, for me, the next step is to put a brain inside a robot body, a vat brain inside a robot, basically artificial brain.
Well, they're creating human neural tissue, but it's not an actual like human brain. It's just the tissue, the neurons themselves that they're using to try to uh, translate computer signals. and it does
Yeah,
work. It would be interesting to see where it actually goes with that, because obviously, if they go down this route, there are massive ethical questions
yes.
about that.
No. Or you can go down the path of creating a mother brain from Metroid,
True, or like
which
the Robo Brands from Fallout.
which was that'll be interesting to see. But there's also ethical questions with that. I
Oh
mean,
God, yes.
you're creating an artificial life form, cybernetic life form. So I don't know what
And
I
well,
don't know.
in the terms and when it comes to Robo Brains, it's less creating and more transplanting.
No,
Sometimes
well,
not all that willingly.
yeah, the cloning. That's about cloning brains. Use the brains as computers to operate robot bodies.
And that's
That's what I'm talking
that's the good side of that. The bad side would be something like the Cybermen from Doctor Who.
about. Ooh.
Yeah, and that's kind of how the Robo Brains from Fallout are created, at least in some cases.
Oh.
Where
Oh.
the participants may not be all that willing.
Oh. Oh. I get it.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as being a servitor in 40K. In fact,
No.
it's
Oh.
almost exactly as bad.
Oh.
Um, and let's
But
face it, this show it's almost that bad.
yeah. Yeah, but was it? They don't have bodies. Just a computer program. You basically get turned into a computer program.
And in the case of because throughout the course of the show, and I believe in episode 1, you get introduced to David, and that's it.
No,
As
we
far as
don't.
the UI personalities.
Mm, we don't know
Um,
which UI personality is yet at the moment. First episode.
yeah, but as the show progresses, you're introduced to other UIs, some of whom are willing participants and some of whom are not.
But anyways, in the first episode, we see first he's on he seems like a nice guy, but then he's talking about uploaded intelligence, how I can change how I can change the world. And he's uh they says it sounds like science fiction concept, which is funny how that works. And he said so is half the stuff we do nowadays. With computers on your wrist, like like 'cause a long time ago, back in the 50s, that was probably seen absurd.
Which is right. I mean, there's quotes from the heads of tech companies back in the late 40s, early 50s, from like the kind of the end of World War II and the early
Mm,
1950s, from companies like IBM,
mm,
like the big boys when it comes to high tech at the
mm.
time. And there's a quote from their CEO in I think 1947 of he foresaw the need at some point in the future for as many as 4 computers worldwide.
Mm.
I don't know about you
Right.
guys, but I have more than that in my house now.
Yeah. So like lot of stuff will be considered science fiction in the past, like with genetic engineering, computers on your wrists, etc. But anyways, but anyways, anyways, he gets kidnapped. And then I wasn't a kid. Yeah, like from first episode, I thought he's gonna be one of the heroic characters that got rescued or something. I didn't
Yeah, I
know.
figured they were kind of trying to they were just gonna off him because he was trying to sell this new technology to
I
to
thought
a competitor.
at that point, I thought it was gonna be still gonna be a good person. Now this will be a heroic character, but I didn't know. But this show has a lot of twists and turns, like I said. Then the second episode, a a lot more stuff happens. Uh, uh, the main character, Maddie, she's been to the mess to meet whoever she's been talking to on the internet, one of the people.
Hmm.
Uh, and I was telling to for a complete swerve because she brought this other girl with her. We got a name. We got a name. Let me see. Uh, w- yeah, I forgot her name. Let me see what her name is.
And she's really not all that major a character outside of this context, in that she's kind of Maddie's friend slash
No, not
upperclassman.
friends,
So
just classmates. What's one of our classmates?
yeah, she's kind of an upperclassman. So
No,
They're
no,
not really
she's not
friendly,
really
but
seen. I mean, she's not really. Justine, Justine.
Justine, yep, that's it.
Uh, no, yeah, Justine. Uh, she's like this fat chick.
Yep. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
definitely portrayed as like kind of the is not very attractive, like kind of on the outside looking in. Even though she's older than Maddie, she's an upperclassman, which is why Maddie approaches her because she has a car.
yeah, exactly. No, and she invites her because she's bigger and probably she could probably take on a full grown man. At least that's what Maddie thought she could.
I
Uh,
mean, stands a better chance than Maddie does because
exactly.
Maddie looks like she weighs about 80 pounds soaking wet.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like Maddie's just 14, so yeah. Uh, so she calls on Justine to take her to see the guy. Now at first I thought it was gonna be Caspian, but the show does a lot of misdirection.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was going to be Caspian as well because they had been talking through DMs and stuff like that. So I
Mm-hmm.
figured he was going to meet her, and
Mm-hmm.
then the plot was going to move forward now because now we've united both the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
this show really does not like sticking to tropes or any kind of. It will intentionally throw red herrings at you.
Yeah, exactly. Because but turns out it's I forgot what was his name is. Let me
Um, yeah,
this guy who was actually the husband of one of the UIs.
yeah. So this is when you find out that because there's a scene at before this at Logarithms where basically Maddie and her mother are down there essentially screaming at
No, Cody. That's his name.
Cody. Yep, are essentially screaming at Logarithms for keeping her husband's
Yeah,
personality construct essentially alive when they said he was gone
yeah. They said it
and
didn't
using
work.
him to complete his work.
Yeah, they said it didn't work. But
And
basically,
during that incident, another intrusion happens, and you kind of think it's David at first, her father.
yeah.
But then they keep talking about she and like where is she and all that.
And it turns out
Or
to be
sorry, this
Laurie.
happens after that. This happens directly after that scene where you meet
Yeah,
Cody.
so yeah, meet Cody. But his thing, his thing, yeah, exactly. But we meet. I thought it would be Caspian at first, but it turns out to be just a random new character you never seen before named Cody.
Yep,
Uh,
and you find out through
who's
him that David's or
uh,
her father's story is not the first.
he's not the only one. There's also his wife, his dead wife named his dead wife named and she improves it by having her hack the building that they're in at the moment, the restaurant. So
Yeah, her name is Lori, I think.
yeah, Laurie.
Yeah, and then yeah, we got one right finally. Um, but no, then you see like they talk a little bit, and he gives her a kind of a plan on how to break into Logarithms and get her father's
Mhm.
engram essentially out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was it. I was actually excited with it. I was actually excited when the scene we got to the point in which they freed David. They went to the Logarithms headquarters. With Logarithms headquarters and encountered the guys in charge, uh, Pope,
Hmm.
Julius Pope. Yeah, Julius Pope. Uh, and they encountered Julius. They encountered Julius basically. We read to release.
What's that?
What they read to release.
Um, well, like that whole scene is pretty interesting in that they're just like again things are happening outside of what you see on screen, and it's
Yeah,
really cool.
they basically shut down the company's computers or something.
Well, she hacks into their internal server and
Hmm.
uses it to kind of like start tanking their stock and all sorts of other stuff because I don't think they've introduced that yet. I think you find this out later. But before she died, Lori was this genius stockbroker
Oh yeah, exactly.
that used to make insane amounts of money, and now she's
Yeah.
using it to kind of weaponize against logarithms because they were trying to do the same to her.
Mm, mm, to free David, and they get David back on the hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And
uh,
it's not necessarily on a hard drive. They basically free him into the internet, essentially.
yeah, they did after she gets the hard drive, after Maddie gets the hard drive.
Yeah, and then you actually get to first see some interactions between Maddie and her father,
Mm,
which is really cool in a lot of ways because
uh,
like it's a very humanizing moment for something that isn't human anymore, technically.
yeah, yeah. By the way, it's strange that because they're using him for computer calculation. It's funny how these companies, the logarithms is doing. They're trying to kill people and upload their consciousness to the internet, up to the upload consciousness to the computer hardware, so not to the internet. Uh, so that they can use the people's consciousness as regular AI, like using it's like how Google uses the Google bots or something.
Yeah, and it's well in David's case, they were using him to finish his research into this kind of stuff.
Mm, yeah, but do you know yeah, how weird that is? Like
Yeah, where
they
they're
turn the human
basically uploading intelligences and then trying to use them like a program.
like a regular program. Uh, and it's weird how that works. And keep in mind, I know it's in the show. They only do it with computer programmers. They they don't do it with that's the reason why I go part of the reason why it goes wrong. They don't do it with chemists or physicists or something. They do it with people who are good at computer programming, but you put them in one place in which they are gods.
Well, the implication in a lot of the run up to this is that they're using these UIs to kind of perfect the process, and then that maybe in the
Mm,
future that will happen, and that like chemists and physicists and stuff like that
mm,
will upload themselves and be able to work at 10 times the speed they used to.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
But
and I think it's in episode 2. You also first get to see how the process works.
yeah, with Chonda, he gets horrifically force upload into
Yeah, and I kind of theory as to
eh, by
how
the
as
Indian
to the
company he's working for.
personalities or how the personalities turn out in this show as a direct correlation of how they're uploaded.
Uh, no,
And that
I mean,
and that Lori was in a coma.
David signed up for it, and
Yeah,
Chonda was
David
forced.
volunteered and he was dying anyway.
He's going to die anyway, so he didn't care.
Chanda, on the
Uh,
other hand, got forcibly strapped down to a bed and had his brain vaporized bit by
yeah,
bit. And they show you every bit of it. This show does not shy away from the graphics, which is really
yeah,
cool
exactly.
because the
But
temptation,
it's evil,
especially for somebody like AMC, who's a cable channel, is to kind of try to play it safe and keep it a
yeah,
little family friendly.
but by this evil guy who run the evil guy who run the IG, that's his name,
Yeah,
IG.
he's basically running the Indian competitor to logarithms.
Yeah, Indian compared to logarithms. Yeah, Alliance Telecom, that's what's called.
Mm. So they're kind of like the Indian version of logarithms in a lot of ways.
Yes,
And
and this is not the first time you upload somebody, as we learn episode 3.
yes,
The Alliance Telecom's done this before. Uh,
and
although it
if I
didn't go
remember
well.
correctly, it's not the first time they've done it; it's the first time they've succeeded.
Yeah, because other times, let's say technically they upload the person, but didn't go well,
Yeah,
as we see.
basically the whole thing just destabilized, and the program went basically insane instantly.
No, yeah, no, yeah, they basically zombies on the computer. On the
Yeah,
computer
it
program.
was virtually catatonic and just wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, they can't talk or text, but they somehow communicate somehow. I don't know.
Well, I mean, in cyberspace, it's all communication, and when they intentionally kind of lobotomized the program to try to keep it from communicating with the outside world.
No. In the case of the clan, as Chandra calls them, they did the upload process didn't work well. Didn't work well. That's why they basically zombies.
Yeah,
In the
and they
business
have
world.
almost no free will, whereas David, Lori, and Chanda are essentially digital versions of their previous personalities.
Yeah, exactly. What? Yeah, exactly. But no. I mean the clan had free will to tell the communicate with Chanda to tell make it so that he can escape. Uh,
True. Yep.
so yeah. Episode 3 we got episode 3. This is weird. They did this weird storytelling technique where he repeats the same cycle again and again because keep in mind they're racist. I think they're racist memories after each day. And a day for them is much shorter than for humans because
Well, yeah, they're
time work.
basically programming an environment for him to work in that
Mm,
simulates a full day of work for him, but in reality, it's in meat space. It's only been 10 minutes,
yeah,
so he
yeah,
can get an
repeatedly.
entire day's worth of work done in a fraction of the time. So it's speeding up their research and workload dramatically,
Mm,
which is the point of these UIs.
mm, exactly. And then of course, let's just say he gets away. He makes a copy. I think he makes a copy of himself and run his place. Mm,
Yeah, essentially, or at least a shadow of him, essentially,
mm,
that's just doing the work like he normally does. But the real him is off to
mm.
pick a
To
bone with
kill
his
IG.
former employer.
The kill IG along with the clan. Playing to kill it.
And his
Mm.
and his entire family.
And his entire family. Yeah, he did that. Yeah, I was in shock when that happened. He killed him. Yeah, how perfectly he did that. He did that too. Like he overloaded the gas pumps in the house. uh,
Shut the sun in the pool with the
yeah,
shutter.
exactly. Turned the heat all the way up.
Mhm.
'Cause
And
he
before he
convinced
did any of that, he was actually considerate enough to send the staff home for the evening, so none of them
exactly,
would get caught in the crossfire.
exactly. He did that exactly. So it's only his family, his fan get killed. Which
But in how mercilessly he executes it, though, you kind of start seeing the glimpses of maybe this guy's not the nice guy we thought he was. Because like
exactly.
even at the beginning of this episode, like we're living essentially the same day over and over, which is like his last day of work before this happened to him,
Mm,
and just answers a phone call from his mother and is just kind of talking to her, just like
mm.
everybody does. At the beginning, it's like, oh, okay, he's just an average guy, loves his mom just like the rest of us, and yeah, that degenerates pretty rapidly.
Yeah, exactly. Back to episode 2 we have episode 3 I forgot. We have good family drama that actually works, makes sense with Ellen found her husband is now back again. She don't see Dave as a husband. I mean, he's just good, just a pure program.
Well, yeah, and like that's actually kind of a central plot for most of the series is
Mm,
Ellen's kind of coming to terms with her relationship with David.
mm. And then what's Maddie and Dave have been playing this MMO game. Was that they play before he died?
Yeah, that's basically totally not RuneScape.
Yeah, totally not RuneScape, but it's basically RuneScape. We got they've been playing MMO, and he's now living in it kind of
Yeah,
uh
he's basically living in their public servers.
yeah, living in the public servers as a godlike character that's OP as hell.
Yeah,
Because
and
it's a pure
most of the
program.
time he's just kind of hiding because he doesn't want the admins to find him and purge him.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly, and because it's funny because within the game world, he's basically a god almost, essentially, because he's a
Oh
computer
yeah,
program.
and that comes back later in the show that basically what the Chinese have been doing with their UIs is basically mining currency through this game.
Mm,
It's almost like if you remember back in the day, you might be a little too young to remember this, but think it was South Korea. Like they had these farms where guys would just play League of Legends and stuff like that all day and just grind out real money out of it.
yeah,
And it was an insane scheme where like they would grind real money out of these games and pay them almost nothing, obviously. But yeah, but companies in Korea and I think China as well were actually just making money off of it.
but and we you basically living in the anyways I actually love how they did the family drama when she has to go inside Emerald meet her husband again to talk to her husband again with
Yeah,
MC
and how
King.
awkward it is at first for her because, especially in her position, she watched him die.
Yeah, and not only that, but she has a boyfriend now called named Gabe.
Yep. And she's already, and she even says it straight to him. It's just like, like, no, you died. I mourned you. I moved on. Like,
Mm,
this is not something that I ever considered. Because let's
yeah.
face it, no one really gets up in the morning thinking, like, my dead husband might be coming back and talking to me through the internet.
Mm,
Or if they do, they're usually locked up somewhere.
yeah. Uh,
So
uh,
she's obviously freaked out about all of it and refuses to even talk to him at first.
exactly.
Whereas Maddie is really just more excited to have her dad back.
Mm, yeah, exactly. And then of course, he's kind of keeping Justine unaware that her dad's wife at first.
Yeah.
Mm, uh,
And as you go through this episode too, you get to see a lot of really cool little family moments between Maddie and David before he died.
mm, yeah.
And
Oh,
one of the reasons that she seems so kind of depressed and lonely at the beginning of the show is, I mean, apparently like him and her had this great relationship and they were like best friends and used to do everything together and all that. Well, imagine you're 12 years old and then all of a sudden he dies
mm,
and you're never going to see him again, and then he comes back out of the blue.
mm,
So like she's really excited about it and wants to embrace it,
mm.
and
Even
Ellen
though
on
he's
the
just
other
a fearful
hand
friend.
is extremely hesitant.
Yeah. Plus, he said, yeah, exactly. And then you also get we also get by the way, her dad was actually in league with Stephen Hallstrom.
Yeah, he worked
David
for
Hallstrom at
Logarithms
start.
for a little bit as a programmer.
Before he knew Hallstrom before he died, but he did not know what Hallstrom was secretly planning. Stephen, uh,
Well, I mean, Holstrom was talking about this stuff, but he never made it work.
no, he actually
And
technically did, but it didn't go well. Let's just say the least.
yeah, I mean, well, and at least Holstrom had the good graces to test it on himself.
No, he didn't test on himself.
Well, he, well, no, sorry, he cloned him, essentially cloned himself, which you find out
Yeah,
later.
we learn about that later. Oh,
But David was actually working on the problem before he got sick,
mm, yeah.
and they were making progress, but hadn't made it really functional yet. And
Mm,
him and his best friend essentially were working on it, who you meet
eh, eh,
earlier, and you can
yeah.
sense there's some like even when you first meet him and Ellen's just talking to him as a doctor and a professional in this field, you can kind of tell there's something going on between them that
Mm,
they've not talked about, and but she just clearly does not like him.
um,
And then you find out that kind of uploading his David's intelligence was this guy's idea.
yeah, because that was Pope. That was Jules Pope signed up for that.
Well, not Pope. The one who the programmer who worked for him, Waxman.
Yeah, Waxman.
Yeah. So he became kind of the focus of Ellen's anger because he was a friend of the family, very close for a long time. And when David was sick and dying, he persuaded David to go through with this experiment. And then he was the one who lied to Ellen and told him it didn't work and he was dead.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, um, we also learned the flashback and that wait, what's the name? Let me see. Wait, let me look it up here. I'm still on. Uh, uh, Renee Keys was actually used to be Stephen Hawking's girlfriend in the past. Was his
Yeah,
wife in the past.
and
Uh, and it's actually and the chick who's supposed to be Caspian's mother. Yeah.
yeah. So that's when you kind
Uh,
of start realizing that something weird might be going on with Caspian.
exactly. And episode 3, I think I don't know when, but she breaks her own arm
Mm-hmm.
and may look like the may look like the may look like Carrie did it.
Yeah,
Uh,
his
uh,
quote unquote dad.
yes, quote unquote dad. So that Cass can beat him up and kick him out of the house.
Yeah, and you don't. And the funny thing is, they don't kind of even give you a small hint as to why this is actually happening until way later in the series.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know Logarithms is involved somehow because she's in contact with them, and
Yes,
also
it's mm,
both Carrie and her used to work or used to be close personal friends of Holstrom.
mm,
So you know they're involved somehow, but you don't know what their part in all this is. But they
mm,
keep, and his dad especially keeps pushing Caspian to get further and further involved in the technical side of this
mm.
and keep
Yeah,
teaching
because
him
it keeps
things.
trying to push him to be a programmer. Um,
Yeah, which you don't
mm,
really know why until way later.
mm, mm, no,
And again, like, this show is really smartly written because most television shows now or whatever would just really badly telegraph the fact that, like, oh yeah, this guy is super important. They won't tell you why, but he's super important. And then
Damon
when you
show.
find out, it's really not all that surprising. And this one, yeah, they kind of hit you over the head with it.
Yeah, now name a show like that.
Um, well, I mean, one of the examples would be like a show like Willow, where it's like, oh yeah, this girl's going to be super important, and then by the time you find out, it's like, yeah, we've known she's important because you've told us she's like the best thing ever for the last 3 episodes, and no one cares.
Yeah, okay, but this show, what this show does is that we learned about so once we learned about that about Sun's going on Arini because she works directly for Logarithms
Yes.
and used to date and used to date date Steven uh 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 but we actually but we actually learned and then episode 4 after the start of for episode 4, which Chanda kills Ajin's whole family. Oh, he did spare the employees. That's the thing I didn't get. Why spare the employees? Like, uh, uh that you guys it? That's why I don't seem to understand why he spared the employees. Mm, but yep, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, I don't get why they spare the employees. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like,
Well, because they had nothing to do with it.
so, but they
His,
died his son though, but died his son or his wife though, but still. Um, and also uh, I question why did he get revenge in the first place concerning what he does later. Yeah, so Chanda is kind of a wild card in this. Uh, concerning what he does later, I wonder why he even killed Ajit's family in the first place. But but we get we actually I think David gets kidnapped by Laurie, who's degrading, and basically Laurie and her husband Cody attack the parents' house for some reason. Uh, Laurie kidnaps David. You learn about learn about learn that the career program is actually degenerating. The UI is actually degenerating because of defect. Wait, what? Oh, where are you? Wait, is it security? Okay, I'll wait till Pope comes back. They learned that that you guys are actually degenerating because of the defect. So uh, uh, yeah, I knew something was up considering that he had to stop when I asked him the question multiple times, like, where he go? Think I might have to wait for him to come back. Let me check my more tab. I mean, what the period went out or something? This kind of stuff happens all the time. It happened off fan as well. Like one way it went. Uh, what I want to where he went because this is that wow. He usually he's back on panel. If something wrong with the computer, he's usually back on panel about in about an hour or something. About not about a couple minutes. Let's see. You like where is he? Like he. I'll send me a message or something. Cause wow, like that was a random cut, randomly cut off. Like, hope Gen Comics still here. I don't know. Is he? Is he? I don't know. Well, I don't know if he's still here now. Like, wow. Like, what happened? Like, trying to see. I'm still trying to see what happened right now. What, hap- what happened? Oh, he pops back in soon. Yeah, he's texting back right now. Oh, his internet crashed. They do these things live, so stuff like that happens. Yeah, he'll be back in a few minutes. Oh, he's back. Let's see.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Joys of having satellite internet.
Oh, that explains a lot. Satellite
Yeah,
internet.
I'm on Starlink, but it's the plan we're on is like kind of the best available service where they'll try, but they can't guarantee it. It works pretty well most of the time, but sometimes this happens.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the web. Anyways, also for we find out that the UI is actually degenerating. Actually, Laurie kidnaps David.
Yeah, they've we find out that there's a flaw in the program,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, or
That's
the
called
method.
basically because keep in mind the UI is supposed to be like a simulation of human brain inside a computer. And there's some kind of defects causing the cells the virtual cells within the computer to decay much faster than they would in reality. We're not supposed to
Well,
care
and
at
it's
all.
and it's partially well, and Lori believes at first anyway that it's a built-in essentially kill switch.
Built-in kill, but no, it's actually a defect that Steven was
You know,
trying
it's
to
a
solve.
built-in defect to keep them from getting out of hand, essentially.
But no, that's not true. In reality is an accident. Steven was trying to fix it.
Yeah, it's essentially a flaw in the program that they never have been able to correct.
hmm
And the
And
way they find that out is they eventually run into Chanda, who has the same problem.
no, no, we don't know. We don't know. They already knew it before Chanda. Chanda didn't even know. Mm,
Oh, that's right. That's they eventually tell all the others
they
about the
tell
flaw
Chanda,
because
yeah,
they all start showing symptoms of it.
yeah, but yeah, exactly.
But
Um,
At first, Lori is convinced that it's a built-in feature that logarithms put in to keep them under control. And then I think they actually do get one of the engineers, it might be Wexman himself, and talk to him, and they realize that no, this is not something they have the cure for because they never fixed it.
mhm, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So, so these programs have a limited life depending on how much power they're using.
yes. I mean, how much processing power to use, and then eventually the program fades away.
Yeah,
Uh,
so if you guys are fans of Halo at all, so it's sort of similar to how smart AIs work in that they eventually essentially think themselves to death.
mhm, mhm, yeah, exactly. And keep in mind, these UIs always all stored in giant computer bases.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
in the case of logarithms, they have this massive server farm in Norway.
no, it's not that. No, not that. Each and every UI needs its own giant computer base.
Yeah, they have their own server, but like they logarithms themselves have this massive server farm in Norway that they were using to store David and
Laurie.
Lori, and then they broke out.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Apparently, the UIs can't just be in one a simple computer, like simple uh laptop or nothing. You can't put they can't store themselves in there.
Which makes sense because the computing power of a human brain makes even modern supercomputers look absolutely moronic by comparison.
It- but Science is not figured out yet. Probably never will.
Well, in terms of processing ability, like the amount of processors and storage you would need to simulate something like a human consciousness is well beyond anything we've ever made.
Yeah, probably never will. That's the thing.
Hopefully,
That's the
never
thing.
will, because if this shit starts coming real, that's really bad news, as we
hmm
see later in the show.
Exactly. Laurie has pretty much lost much of her humanity. She don't even really think themselves a human anymore. I mean, uh, the only thing she has attachment to is her boyfriend Cody, and that's it. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
and it's you get a couple scenes with them in the show that are really interesting in that she really kind of took advantage of him at first until after she was dead.
Yeah.
and then they kind of reconnected in on a whole nother level than they used to.
You keep in mind, Cole didn't want to be involved with none of this stuff. He's just a painter.
Yeah, he was basically an artist and just wanted to do his thing, and she was
Mhm.
the real motivated one out of the group.
It was her. I mean, the only reason why he lived in a nice house is because of her.
Yeah, she was the
But,
breadwinner and the really motivated and successful one, and he was just kind of the artist type that was just kind of doing what he does.
mm,
And
so,
she always kind of resented him for that,
but as
or just
most
ignored it
modern,
essentially.
oh yeah, as most modern women who have those high lots of money tend to do.
Yeah, like, well, you mean in the rare cases that they do stay with the people they were with, she just kind of ignores everything he says and just does what she wants.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
like, I think she also saw him as essentially a sentient penis, and that's it.
yeah, pretty much. She kind of treated him like a pet. It's like
Mhm.
this thing I take care of and gives me companionship, and that's essentially it.
So, uh, well, especially when we learn about their backstory. Uh, but we also there are a lot of stuff happens in the show. With Caspian's storyline, he has this fake girlfriend. No, yeah, they don't. You can't wouldn't even know. I didn't know she was fake until later on. This his girlfriend, supposed
Again,
girlfriend.
this show really does a good job of playing it close to the vest and not really giving you even a hint that what you're seeing may not be the complete truth right up until they pull the rug out from under you.
Mm,
In that,
mm.
like, oh well, he kind of because he's kind of hesitant to approach this girl at first,
Yeah, because
and
Hana,
yeah,
Hana, yeah, Hana was basically hired to pretend to be Caspian's girlfriend by Rini. She said you might have to have sex with him, but we're paying you extra to keep keep her mama alive. Her mama got cancer.
yeah, and before that, she does seem like a pretty decent girlfriend and all that, and they have a relationship, and he's kind of reluctant to approach her at first, and then after he gets in that fight with his dad, he kind of finds his confidence
Mm,
and
mm,
approaches her, and they start a relationship, and then
mm.
a little ways
Yeah,
thereafter, he oversees a meeting or kind of eavesdrops on a meeting between her and Renee.
mm. Yeah,
That
yeah,
is when you learn that she's not who you think she is. She's not even a real person, essentially. She's an actress.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, she's not even a high schooler. She's actually 23. Well,
Yeah, like she's actually way older than she looks, and
mm, mm.
which there's some ethical implications of her sleeping with a 16-year-old, but whatever. We'll
Yeah,
just
I think
skate right
17.
on by that.
Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't really matter to me. Um, uh, so, but but Caspian when Caspian realizes his entire life been manipulated, the Caspian storyline, he goes to see his dad. This is one of the greatest scenes in the show for me. He goes to meet his fake, this we thought was his dad, Carrie, who's living out in the woods somewhere, out now some rural area or something. He rides off to meet him,
Yeah, and
and
all of this takes place in the Bay Area of California, essentially.
and then he meets him, and then come to find out, like this guy, he learns the truth about what's going on. He's not their son. Uh, they don't. The entire personality that was in front of him was fake for 17 years. No,
Yeah, and they kind of go into why.
and then he explained, and then I was in shock when I had this twist. He's actually a clone of Stephen Hallstrom. Caspian is actually a clone of Stephen Hallstrom.
Yeah, and it really does now that you bring up the Apple resemblance, and it really is more Apple than anybody else.
Mm,
This
because
this cult like following in some of the original employees and Holstrom's followers that basically not only cloned him, but were willing to sacrifice their own lives essentially in terms of living this fake life in order to essentially bring his clone as
No,
close to
make
the
it.
life experience as possible to Stephen
Uh,
Hallstrom so that they would
uh,
get him back essentially.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, exactly. So that he could finally fix the problem. Like they didn't fix the
Or
problem. That was
continue his work essentially, and these guys
no.
are almost a cult.
Now they are called insult, and it's called. They will actually see Stephen Hawking as some kind of messiah or something.
Yeah, and they really do have this messianic worship of Caspian.
Yeah, exactly, because it's supposed to be the second coming of Stephen Hawking.
And you see that later in this episode, I believe, where they actually do track him down essentially and give him the company.
Yeah, I know they give him the company. I know it's fun.
Like no
I
questions
know.
asked, no ifs, ands, or buts about what he can do with it. They're just like, okay, it's yours now.
Yeah, I mean, he's just he's just out of high school. I mean, why expect this guy this young to know what to do with a company?
And there's
Uh,
this cool moment where you don't know if Caspian's going to do the right thing or actually give in and continue what Logarithms
no,
was working on.
well, no, he's not. Because keep in mind, Caspian is nothing like Stephen Hawking. That's the thing. They failed. They
Well,
pretty much
no, but
failed.
you also have that weird moment where he sees the potential in it.
Yeah, but you can see that they failed though. Like they tried to make they cloned Stephen Hawking and tried to make him exactly like Steve. It didn't work at all. He's not like Stephen Hawking.
Well, but there is this. You can see the conflict within him a little bit, and this is what makes him such a good character. Is he is a good person, but he's also very intelligent. So you can see he sees the benefit in it, and he does consider it
Yeah,
before
because
rejecting it for the moral implications.
yeah, because keep in mind, Caspian is nothing like Stephen Hawking at all. From what we see in his flashbacks.
No,
Like don't
they tried to make him very close, but he's really not.
no nothing at all. Like the only thing he have in common is the tech skills, and that's it.
Yeah, and they've made that clear throughout the whole thing is that he is a technical genius.
But that's about it. He's nothing like Stephen Hawking at all.
Yeah,
Right.
other than the base genetic code, essentially, yeah, they're not even close.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure Stephen Hawking was not this booty emo kid.
No,
Like the
no.
most. Yeah, exactly.
And yeah,
So
and Caspian does come across that way with like the typical emo, like moody emo douche that we all knew in high school.
exactly. Stephen Hawking was not that at all. So like that at all. When we see in flashback at any point. So no.
Although we only see him later in life, so he may have been like that as a teenager. Who knows? But
No.
you can,
From the
but you can
biography
see
he
the inner
gave.
conflict with him when he gets the company. Is like,
No.
oh shit, I have the ability to do whatever I want with this.
No. From the biography. From the biography that Stephen Hawking gave. No. Like no.
No, I mean, but in terms of Caspian's actual character,
Mhm.
you can tell he is conflicted because he sees the potential in it.
Yeah, that's near the end of the show. But before that, we also get the storyline where what Chanda has this weird plan. He's created a UI world for you guys living, which me personally I thought it was just for him and the clan, which I'm confused by. Why need to make a world? Why don't just reprogram some old video games to live there? Uh, the uh, by the one member of the clan dies. By the way, in this scene,
Yeah,
all those other failed uploaded people.
yeah, they essentially just get deleted.
Well, one of them dies. One of them passes, and he ain't. So yeah.
And the interesting part is eventually Lori and David end up coming into contact with Chanda.
Yeah. Eventually.
And they start kind of comparing notes, and they try to get through to the three Chinese programmers as well.
No. That's not the clan. The clan. Those are gray zombie looking things.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
so they're kind of essentially they're almost sub-sentient.
Yeah. No. They're sentient. It's still technically sentient, but just can't really do. Just can't just mentally can't really do much. Like it's almost like a disabled person.
Yeah, and that well, I mean, it's not even clear that they're self-aware any longer.
No, they're all self aware. They're self aware to contact him and get him out. They had to be self aware to do that.
To an extent, yeah. Or they at the very least recognize that he is like them.
They're self aware to contact him and get him out, and have him realize that he's inside UI. At least did that, and intentionally to make him realize that. Like they invaded his UI space, which they weren't supposed to do. But when program do that either, so they're all self aware.
Yeah, and the cool part is they're not even supposed to really know about that partition.
Yeah.
Necessarily, but again, when you start playing around with something like as intelligent as a living creature and try to put programming walls and restraints around it, well, we're remarkably good at breaking through barriers like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or finding ways around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyways, Chonda, but Chonda's creating this digital world. Like we creating this, like we seen what virtual globe creating the whole world for them to live in. Was now at the first glance I understand why he's doing that, but then we learn later why. Oh, uh, uh, eventually attacks David and Laurie.
Well, because you learn that they have contact at first, and he's kind of talking to them, and he kind of agrees. And they're trying to get the Chinese.
No. The Chinese people they didn't exist yet at this point.
Oh no, they did. That battle in the.
No, at the end of the show, that happened because they got recently uploaded. They got uploaded way after China. China's the reason why they got uploaded.
Yes, but
come find out.
They're trying to come up with essentially how they proceed because I mean these guys are the first of their kind.
No. Here's the thing. China gave the UI technology how to make it to a whole bunch of different countries. After he died,
he made it open source essentially.
They made open source did that on purpose so that other people get uploaded. So because he wanted what confuses me because why would he want more people to be uploaded after what happened to him?
Yeah, that's where you kind of learn that Chanda is kind of gone.
Yeah.
As far as his humanity is concerned.
Yeah, he's gone. So and that's why he was creating that virtual world earlier. He wanted all you guys to live there.
And the reason he initially goes after David and Laurie is planning to tell the world about what they are.
Exactly.
And the fact that they exist. And which freaks Chanda out because he understands that at least in some parts of the world, their first instinct is going to be to delete them.
Exactly. He doesn't want that. He want the world's governments to just pump out the UIs, pump out and then have them all just take over, slave the world.
Yeah, so he kind of like turns. This one is kind of one of the weird turns of it. When I'm not sure it's very realistic in that almost overnight this man turns from Indian tech nerd into supervillain.
Yeah. That didn't make any sense to me. Like, why does he want more UIs? Like, what actually happened to him? And if that was the case, then why did he kill Ajit and his family then? Because he should thank them for giving him a gift. Then, if that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, his is kind of one of the weaker stories in that it doesn't really the puzzle pieces don't fit.
Yeah,
but like especially given, and this is coming back to kind of how they behave being somewhat dictated by how they were uploaded. His upload process was very traumatic.
Yeah, why does he want more? Like
that's the thing is, I think his upload process was so traumatic it kind of broke him, and that he's not really rational anymore.
Yeah, because
He's
Yeah,
trying to process what happened to him and try to basically validate it and turn it into a good thing rather than the horrific death it was.
yeah. But by the way, this cartoon is actually based on a series of short stories, right?
Yes, it is. I
Um,
forget the name off the top of my head, but
but from what I found out from the research I did, the original short stories, this version of China is very different from how it was in the source material. Um, in the original source material, China was always evil. Like even even as a human, he's always evil.
okay.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, it does because that he's literally just continuing the pattern essentially.
Yeah, so he's always a piece of shit, even as a human. So that actually makes more sense.
And
Mm-hmm.
parts of his motivation make sense, like especially the self-preservation motive, because
Mm-hmm.
knowing humans like we do, when we confronted with something we don't understand, we usually try to destroy it.
Yeah. But what like that? I was confused. Why is he trying to make more? Why is he trying to make? He's trying to make himself a god by having him be the savior of the universe, and
Well, yeah, and
create tragedies on purpose so that he
and when
come
you
in and save it.
when you combine the trauma he suffered, compare and add in the self-preservation motive and all that, what you come up with is a guy who's basically understand or come to the opinion that the only way I can protect myself is to strike preemptively.
But why is he creating more UI? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Why is
Because he's going to try to basically essentially create an army.
But yeah,
Uh,
if but how but how that confused me. Why does he want that to happen to somebody else when it happened to him? Like this doesn't make it. Why does he clearly can't see his own upload as a good thing, considering that he killed IG and his whole family. If he thought it was a
Now,
good
it
thing,
would
was
be really interesting to show this to someone with like a psychology background and get their take on it. But
like
my
because this is
obviously amateur opinion is it the same reason that a large number of people who are abused as kids turn into abusers themselves.
this doesn't make any sense to me. This whole thing doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it doesn't make
But
any logical sense, but it happens in a large psychologically to a large number of people who are abused as children or have traumatic memories. Is that they then inflict it on someone else? I don't know why. I don't know what the cause is. I'm not a psychologist in any way, shape, or form, but it is a known phenomenon.
but
So that could be sort of it in that you see the two reactions to abuse in Chanda and also in David and Lori, where Lori is basically trying to prevent anyone else from going through this
mm,
and take
yeah,
longboardings down. And Chanda is out there trying to basically victimize others the same way he was victimized and basically subjugate them to his will.
which again, I can't. But anyways, we got a whole bunch of countries doing it now. He gave it to the whole world, the open source is the whole world. Anyway, any places that would have computers, they can do it now.
Yeah,
Government
where
has computers.
I believe the next episode you meet a Russian, which is also the first time anyone has been killed by a UI because they've interfered in stock markets and caused a little bit of
No, first
electrical
time anybody been
outages.
killed by UI was Chanda killing the.
Oh, true. I meant by like intentionally on purpose
Mm,
by a
yeah.
nation.
The first time we see it was Middle East, I think.
It's in the Middle East, but it's not a Middle Eastern UI. It's a Russian.
Yeah, and then we have a Middle Eastern UI who's a pervert who having what he does is he lives out an anime cat girl fantasy.
That's actually not a Middle Easterner. He's Russian.
Well, oh, he's white. Why is he rounded?
Um, some some Russians do appear to be Middle Eastern because of the former Soviet territories like Azerbaijan and places like that, where you will see some darker skinned Russians. And
Yeah,
also, what throws people off a little bit is the attack takes place in the Middle East because it's basically sabotaging a U.S. drone sale to probably Saudi Arabia. In fact, it's almost certainly Saudi Arabia. Um, and instead of completing the sale, the guy takes over the drone and kills the Saudi prince who's trying to buy it.
yeah. This might be a tangent, but America needs to start giving Saudi Arabia weapons like seriously now.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with it. It's like
Yeah, like
I get using them as a uh, buffer against Iran, but it's like really,
they
it's like
need to
we
start
sell you
giving
guys
Saudi Arabia.
a lot of our pretty top end shit.
No. The reason why is because keep in mind, Saudi Arabia is responsible for most Islamic terrorists. We don't
Pretty
know
much. They don't like
intentionally.
talking about that, but oh yeah. What was it? 18 out of the 29/11 hijackers all had Saudi passports.
No, it's not that. It's not that this whole Wahhabism thing like seriously now. Like
Yeah,
that.
like,
That.
and for those of you who don't know Islam very well, like Sunni and Shia are the two main branches, but there's subsects of that.
Mm,
The
yeah.
Wahhabis are some of the most extreme.
Almost every single Islamic terrorist you meet actually following teaches of Abdul Wahab. So
Yeah, they're Wahhabis and Salafists.
the Salafis
Um,
they call themselves Salafis, but actually Wahhabis. They themselves say
okay,
Abdul Wahab is the person. So
because I've
that's just
heard both terms being used, and I thought there were two different sects that are
no, it's the same thing.
essentially agreeing on the same thing, but
Same thing. No, the same thing. They're all the same thing.
okay, fair enough.
So yeah,
But yeah, Saudi Arabia, not a great place, and probably somebody we should not be giving American level technology to.
mm, I
But
mean,
in the context of this, they're debuting a new drone, and this Russian uploaded intelligence essentially takes it over. Because let's face it, any kind of cybersecurity is not going to last long against something like a human brain.
exactly.
And later on
Especially
in the
one
show,
that's a
you kind
computer
of see the
programmer.
powers they can
No, especially one that's a
use.
computer programmer that they made into a UI. Like
Yeah, where he's already super well versed in cybersecurity, and then you put him in the internet.
exactly, exactly.
And this show's called Pantheon for a reason. In that later on in the show, these guys have some pretty godlike abilities to essentially just switch things off and cause all sorts of chaos.
Mm, mm.
Um, and it's really a shame that the show didn't get a second season because we were really just starting to see that
Yeah, and we
kind of
got the three
potential.
Chinese, I think three Chinese UIs.
That they are using that the Chinese government that were prisoners, and you can guess how they got uploaded.
Yeah,
Knowing the People's Republic of China, like we all do, it was probably A, not voluntary, and B, there was probably no anesthesia or safe word involved.
yeah, exactly. So, but they still lost the Chinese government. But anyways, David, Laurie, and China go to confront them. So confront them, and
Well, try to get
well,
them on board, really.
try to get them on board, and I get them on board, confront them, and they fight first time.
All because the only one that really appears to have any sort of free will is their commissar, essentially, who's
What's
basically seems to be in control of the other two.
yeah, the woman. I forgot what her name was.
Yeah, I forget what her name is, but you can tell after they drop all this information on them, they both just kind of look at her,
Yeah, exactly. She's the one. She's the one in charge.
and she's the only one that ever speaks.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, well, the other two speak, but they don't get that much line. They's off us by her orders for follow
Yeah,
her
and it's
orders.
usually coordination somewhere here or there. They never like speak back or talk back against her or anything like that. They are essentially. I don't know if she has something over them, like.
No, I think she's the government agent actually.
Well, she is a Chinese government agent, but I don't know if she has any actual control over them in terms of like a kill switch in their programming or
She don't.
whatever.
She don't. She don't.
But or they're just so programmed to just believe or just do whatever she says,
Mm,
um, that they never even question it for the most part
mm.
until the very very end of the show.
Yeah, the first time they fight, the second time, and the second time is second time was second yeah. Laura, but before, first time they fight, the main character retreat. I mean, they had no choice to retreat. They can't really kill each other. I mean, like, not unless they hacked it, not unless they destroy the computer, the base computer.
Yeah, so essentially you have these semi-immortal beings that are fighting on a whole nother scale than we can even imagine
Mhm.
in the internet.
Yeah.
And this is all going on kind of behind closed doors, and nobody really knows all this is going on.
Well, Chinese government knows, but not the whole world.
Yeah, and it's not really public knowledge yet
Mhm.
until something happens, and I forget what it is.
Laurie decides to use the last for data to record a message to the final message to the world.
But there's another incident before that where like most of the world becomes aware that these are a thing.
No, no, you not no, no, no. It's China giving all the world's governments access to
Oh,
UI
that's right.
technology.
And that's when you never really get to meet her much. It was
Uh,
probably going to be a major character in season 2,
in season two, the astronaut
where
lady, I believe it was the
yeah,
astronaut.
the first American UI,
She's going
American
to be uploaded.
government UI.
We don't know if she actually uploaded or not. That's the thing.
They never actually show her get uploaded.
No, we never
So,
actually, we won't see her get uploaded. We never actually, well, yeah, exactly. So we don't know if she decided to go through with it or not. It's her that's making the decision.
and she's one of the only UIs in the entire series that it's done voluntarily on a healthy person,
Mhm.
where basically they're appealing to her sense of patriotism and like the country needs this.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're just supposed to go to Mars. Mm,
Yep.
mm,
And instead of that, she's going into cyberspace, and
mm.
but they never actually show her character all that much.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
my
know.
guess is she would have been much more important in season 2 if we ever got it, which I'm really
Mm,
sad we didn't get.
exactly. I said, let's just hope somebody else, some other network picks this up.
There is, but you never know too whether the transition between two networks is going to change who's in charge of the show and all that, and
Yeah,
you never know. It could turn into, oh yeah, the season 1 was really good, and then somebody else took over, and season 2 is trash.
yeah. So, but anyways, but anyways, we learned that well, anyways, your world seems about to go to crap because nobody, people are dying and nobody knows what the hell's going on because the computer, this computer is going crazy and killing people. Um, nobody knows what the hell's going on. So, and the government's not telling anybody, telling anybody. So, Laurie decides to use a last for processing power to record a message to the world. Uh, Meanwhile, Caspian gets recruited into logarithms, and Pope gives him the company.
Yep, and you can. This is the point where, like I was saying, you can see the conflict in him, where he sees the potential in what logarithms is trying to do, but
But
eventually decides to shut the company down and basically
no,
make logarithms answer for all the shit they've done.
no, because he sees all the people dying because all the UIs killing people. Because you got to think about this is not those three Chinese UIs are the only ones. We got some in South America they're making that's killing people. Some in
Yeah, like almost every other scene, you're starting to hear about other UIs.
that actually killing people used by the military to kill people, kill the enemies. Used by various militaries
Yeah,
over the
that's the
world.
thing is, at first it's kind of a tragic accident what happened to Lori and David, and then slightly exploitation by the company. But then you start seeing the governments get involved, and inevitably they start weaponizing it.
Yeah, immediately, like immediately, almost overnight, we got people getting killed, and
And it's sort
um,
of like me being kind of a history nerd, the dreadnought race in the pre-World War One era, where pretty much as soon as HMS Dreadnought launched, everyone had to have one.
what's that? Then not
Basically, the Dreadnought, HMS Dreadnought was the first of the modern, what we would consider like modern design battleships,
oh
where
I agree. Everything,
basically
yeah,
she's much faster and has much more powerful armament than anything before her, and is also incredibly heavily armored. So it's kind of the modern battleship, at least in terms of function, where they're all unified caliber guns. Because before that, the pre-dreadnoughts, they had some fairly large guns, but they were all over the place. Like you'd have like a couple of 12-inch guns and then some 8-inchers and a whole bunch of other armament. So it was
mm,
just a complete mess.
mm,
Whereas HMS Dreadnought had a primary and secondary battery of all same caliber guns that were all
mm,
fairly large. So, and basically, the second she was put in the water, she was faster, more heavily armored, and more heavily armed than almost anything else on the planet. So if your Navy wanted to compete with the Royal Navy,
mm,
you had to have one overnight. And it's the same thing with this, where the second your opponent has, like, say, the second the U.S. learned that the Chinese have this this super powerful computer program that can
mm.
get through pretty much any security you've got.
No, China gave it. Didn't just give it to China. He gave it to a whole bunch of different countries.
Well, yeah,
And,
but the second that your opponent has it, you need it,
yeah,
or you're screwed.
yeah,
So
exactly.
what you see is this massive arms race develop almost instantly. Of
Mhm.
shit, our opponents have this, we need it.
Yeah. So, and then of course, of course, it leads to massive bloodshed. Nobody knows, and the general public has no idea what's going on. So,
And they're understandably freaking the hell out.
yeah. So Laurie, used the last bit of a processing power to record a final message. And she tells Cody not to bring her back. Not to bring her back again.
Mm-hmm.
Because he still has another copy of her memory. Uh, but then they said no. She's changed so much since then. So no, wouldn't be the same for her at all. At all anymore.
Yeah, it essentially wouldn't be her.
Yeah,
At least not in her current state. It would have gone back to basically right when she was first uploaded.
yeah. She treats kind of treats him like a pet. Exactly.
And
Mm,
Chanda reacts to this particularly poorly.
exactly. Ain't has stopped. Has tried to stop Dave from uploading it because again his plans had the OUI help him take over the world for some reason.
Yeah, he's basically gone off the deep end. And one of the reasons this show is called Pantheon is essentially the war based on Greek mythology, which is why in the title card you see this statue of a Greek goddess essentially being digitized.
Mm,
In that it's sort of the Olympians versus Titans from
mm,
the creation of the Greek mythology.
yeah, exactly.
In that you have Chanda and the Chinese UIs and a couple of other ones essentially teaming up against the Western ones, and
Yeah, David.
where
David.
season one ends, yeah, where David and it sounds like a lot of the Western allies are starting to create their own in Europe, in the US, in South America,
Mm,
and what they're kind of moving towards is kind of a general UI world war.
yes, yes, and
And unfortunately, we don't ever get to see that in season two because that's what
um,
probably where season two is going to kick off.
and China decides to nuke California
Chanda decides to threatens to nuke California because David's there. Because
because
he
David's
knows
dead.
that he would never do anything to harm Maddie.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
basically
he
tries
wants
to
to.
get him to give up Lori's message
Yeah,
because she dies before ever uploading it.
yeah, because blew up the server for before she uploaded.
Yes, and which is the only way to truly kill a UI is to destroy the server farm.
Mm, yeah, he sunk the ship. So uh,
So he basically threatens David to turn it over, or he's going to destroy California
yes.
or Palo Alto, which is where they live.
Mm,
Um, and that
so
leads to the final confrontation between David and Chanda.
yeah, and we have this weird computer fight sequence. I think could have been done better. I'm not.
Yeah,
Uh,
the final battle I wasn't super crazy about.
no,
It is
I
interesting
mean,
though.
yeah. There's other ways they could have done this better. They probably would have gotten better at this had the show going on with these weird computer fights.
Yeah, because that's the first one we really see that's like a full scale like knockdown drag out fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where like the anime connection comes in because this is definitely the boss fight from an anime or the
Mm-hmm.
Western interpretation of one.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We had this final uh we had this final fight, but he caught himself during the fight so he could finish his work. So he actually successfully sacrificed himself to upload. They've actually sacrificed himself to upload to upload to upload
Lori's message out to the
Lori's
public. And season
yeah
one kind of ends with this massive protest outside of Logarithm's
lo-
headquarters.
logarithms.
And
One
you
guy
see a
thinks he's
bunch of different
alien.
reactions from the crowd,
Yeah,
which I think is interesting.
One guy one guy thinks he's aliens. One guy thinks that Laurie's evil. And Cody has to kind of explain to these people what the hell's going on.
And even once they figure out what's really going on, there you still see a wide variety of reactions from shock and horror at what was done to these people
Mm.
to trying to make logarithms pay for this to kind of the
Like
shock and horror of what these things are
want
capable of.
logarithms to explain what the hell's going on.
Yeah, and then once they do explain what's going on and the fact that basically everything Cody has been saying is true, because at first they look at him like a crackpot, almost like an Alex Jones type character, where he's
No,
like, "Oh yeah,
then they
sure,
see
guy."
Laurie's video, and he said, then the whole world sees Laurie's video. I'm like why is this lady on my phone?
Before that, Cody's out there protesting with Ellen and a couple of other people,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone's kind of giving him like the Alex Jones treatment of like, "Yeah, sure, guy. They uploaded your dead wife, and now she lives in the internet."
And then everybody saw it. Everybody saw him, and then everybody thinks, okay, is she evil? Is she the one behind this? No. Somehow this all this killing people. Like, no, of course, but they don't know that yet.
Yeah, and even once logarithms basically comes out that and admits that everything in that message is true, you
Mm-hmm.
see a weird bunch of different reactions from different people, ranging from anger and trying to and wanting to like tear logarithms down and basically take down the people responsible, to one guy who wants to be uploaded himself because he wants to be immortal.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know how to. He doesn't know the defect yet. Yeah.
He doesn't know the details yet, but he thinks he's basically just a guy in a crowd operating off limited information who's just like, yeah, I want to be uploaded. That sounds freaking great. Let's go. And that's kind of where the show ends. Is they kind of leave it on this cliffhanger of the world as we know it has been turned upside down by this.
I know. And
No one's
Caspian
really sure
decides.
what's going to happen next.
And Caspian decides. He decides to shut the computers down, the world's internet down for a whole year. But what he could do because he owns Logarithms, which is apparently the world's biggest tech company in this world, was like I said, standing for Apple.
Yeah, pretty much everything has a logarithms chip in it because they not only
Yeah,
make the software, they make the hardware as well.
yeah, they make the hardware as well. So he could just shut everybody's computers off, and that's what he did.
Which as you guys can imagine, causes some issues in the world order, shall we say?
Mm-hmm. So much is
pretty much imagine in the modern world because it's set in what 2023.
No, it's set in 2020, 2022.
Oh, that's right. It's set in the modern time. So you can
Yeah.
imagine if late last year, every computer on the planet just kind of shut off.
Now imagine Windows side. We gonna shut down all the Windows.
Or even like more baseline than that, like even the PC computers that are controlling things like oil production or electricity or power grids and stuff like that. Like pretty much everything that's computer controlled gets shut off, and the absolute chaos that ensues.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we had to do that in order to keep more people from getting killed. But how many people would die from all the computers and will be shut off? That's the thing.
Well, that's the kind of thing, and they leave it on a cliffhanger like that. And I'm guessing if they ever do a season 2, we're going to find out exactly how many people die. And my guess is it's going to be a lot.
Mm-hmm. It probably would be less people die from that than U.S. killing people, though. That's the thing.
I'm not entirely sure about that one. Because when you start interrupting global supply chains in terms of electricity and water and food, things can get pretty desperate pretty fast. So when in real life, I work in logistics. We use computers to get stuff where it's going pretty much all the time. From, calling FedEx for a pickup to picking the order correctly to getting it on the truck and making sure everything's packed. It's an entire when you're disrupting that global supply chain, we saw it in late 2021 with some of the supply shortages and stuff like that, and that was a minor variant. It could have been a lot worse. And now you want to shut off every computer on the planet at once. I'm guessing the death toll might be in the tens, if not hundreds of millions. So it would be almost as bad as a nuclear war, except without the fallout.
But then again, the U.S. might have killed more people than that. I don't know. That's the thing.
Well, and that's the cool. One of the cool parts of the show is what Caspian does sounds like the right thing at the time, but you're not entirely sure it is.
Also, Caspian managed to figure out how to kill this defect in the U.S.
Yes.
And
so now they won't degrade.
And also they have another copy of David, of course.
Of course, because they can't. I mean, David's such a good character, and played by Aaron Eckhart, who's a brilliant actor. And brilliant voice acting by him. He's not known as a voice actor, and he's brilliant. I loved his portrayal of David. Even as a computer program, he acts like literally just a guy who, like a code geek who lives in Southern California. Like, he's a very realistic character and a very well played guy. And in the current era, it would be easy to kind of make him sort of a bad guy, but he is a very good dad. And it was good to see that. And you're never going to kill off a character like that with such a major actor playing him in the first season.
Yeah, but they got another copy of David, and they're going to fix the problem with that David.
So now David is essentially immortal as well.
Also, Caspian's talking about shutting down the U.S. Shutting down the U.S. somehow, basically because he wants all the U.S. He's not going to fix most. He's going to let most of them die. Actually, that's the plan.
Probably, yeah, the ones that weren't created by logarithms, essentially, all of the militarized ones. He's basically just going to let them die. Which sounds pretty asshole-ish, but it may be the best way out of that situation, because let's face it, the situation they're in at the end of season 1, there is no fun and easy way out.
Yeah. Yes, it's going to let them die, which I'll also do in that situation, by the way.
It's the right choice, but it kind of seems like a dick move.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop killing people unless they just die. So,
and I like how his response is not, just we're going to destroy everything associated with this and never speak of it again. It's we're going to stop this until we can kind of understand what we're dealing with.
Also, he shut down the UI program, by the way. No more uploads. They're not going to make any more of them though. So,
yeah, well, then they're basically going to put a moratorium on it until they can understand what they're working with. Because that's the thing, is this is such a different concept to anything humanity has seen before. And it's a fundamental change in the human condition when you think about it. Whereas in our world, in this world up to this point, death is a fact. It is not an option. Like everyone is going to go through this at some point.
Exactly. That's kind of the point of being human.
Yeah.
That's why we're part mortal.
Whereas now, where we end at the end of season 1, at least for some people, if you're privileged enough to be uploaded, well, death is now an option.
Well, you still die anyway with defect, but not defect's cured.
Well, but now the defect's been fixed, and that's why I say at the very end of season 1, we're at the point where death is kind of an optional thing,
Mm.
and immortality or functional immortality anyway is a possibility.
Even then, the computers are not immortal, so that's the thing. Eventually, the hardware's going to break down eventually.
Well, that's
So,
what I mean by functional immortality. Like they won't just die of their own on their own. Something external needs to come and cause that. But
mm,
it's an interesting proposition for people because death is the one thing we all fear, and then you have now removed that from the equation. Well, not removed it from the equation, but made it a not in made it an avoidable outcome.
mm,
So
mm,
that would fundamentally change how humans behave.
mm,
And it's a very interesting philosophical concept of what would we do if we're, and it's also a very interesting exploration of the effect of power on people's psyche. Like Chanda was just a code geek who didn't do anything that outlandish. He's just a single guy who talked to his mom all the time, and that's about it. Um, and then you see him launching or stealing India's nuclear codes to launch a nuclear missile at California to kill
mm,
one guy.
mm,
And it's that kind of corruption of power, I think, is. And Lori even says it in her final message is basically like we're not to be trusted with this kind of power. We
we
are
are
still
you.
people.
Yeah, we are you with both the power to destroy
Entire
uh
nations essentially.
foundation.
And basically her point is that no one creation should be trusted with this kind of power.
Mm,
And
mm, yep.
in the background of her message, you're kind of seeing why no one individual should be trusted with that kind of power, UI or no.
Mm,
Um, in what's going on in the real world around them. And that's really, and I thought that was a really cool aspect of this show. And overall, it's a really unique concept.
like has there been a show with this concept before, or a book, or
I
was
mean, Ghost in the Shell kind of explored parts of this in that the nature of human consciousness and that kind of thing,
mm,
but not to this extent. Which also,
mm,
the universe of Ghost in the Shell was created in the 1980s.
mm,
So this was so far beyond the pale for them that they could never really imagine something like this.
mm,
Now, that being said, they did predict the internet fairly accurately,
mm,
which was not all that hard to do in the 80s because that was already becoming a thing.
mm,
Like email already existed, and the World Wide Web was starting to become a thing going into the early 90s.
mm,
Um, but nothing I'm aware of, and I'm sure someone in either the chat or the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, explores it in this way from this aspect of what if you uploaded a human intelligence into the internet
mm,
and gave it basically unlimited freedom.
mm,
And it kind of goes into Plato's Ring of Gyges parable or allegory, essentially, of in the Republic, um, Plato essentially poses the question of, say you had a ring that granted you complete invisibility, so you could do whatever you want with no consequences. What would you do? Would you continue acting as the moral creature you are in real life, or would you start breaking all of those rules because now you can
mm,
with no consequence, and no one's ever going to know?
mm,
So it's a very interesting philosophical question as well. Of would you continue to be the moral creature that your life as a person has made you. In David's case,
Mm,
that's exactly what he does. And Lori's case to an extent as well, although she does grow as a person as a result of this.
mm,
Because by all
mm.
accounts, her as a human being, she was kind of a dick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And
Laura's kind of like the opposite of Chonda.
yeah, where she
Like,
was kind of an asshole in real life, and then after this happens to her, she kind of finds her humanity in a lot of ways and becomes a much more moral person.
and Chonda's the other way around. Just basically,
Where he started off as a nobody,
that's a nice
and
guy. Then that's a nice guy, and then turns into some kind of bizarre Magneto kind of character.
he turns into Frankenstein's monster. And you cannot tell me his revenge against Ajit is anything other than straight like homage to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, where basically the monster he created burns down his house.
mm,
So you can't tell
mm,
me that's not just perfectly right down the line of that.
mm,
Um, but I think that I have a theory, like I've said, that it depends on how they were uploaded. Whereas
mm.
Lori was unconscious or in a coma.
In the coma, so she's probably some dream world, and then she got transferred to another dream
Yeah,
world.
and the next thing she knew, she woke up as what she is now,
Mm,
and wasn't really aware of what was going on or what was happening to her.
mm-hmm.
Then you have David, who was
Had
sick.
cancer, was not that, but that.
Yeah, was sick and dying anyway, and this was sort of a way out,
Yeah.
and also continuing research that he was already involved in.
Mm,
So it wasn't. So this ability wasn't a complete shock to him. And then you have Chanda,
mm, mm,
a guy who this was done not by his choice.
mm,
Um, and as a result, is pretty traumatized by the whole thing at
mm,
first, and then gets really angry when he realizes what's been done to him.
mm,
And then after he gets angry and takes revenge, comes around to seeing it as a good thing
mm,
and starts taking advantage of the power he's being given.
mm,
And then in the Russian hacker, you have the hedonistic side of humanity, in that he's basically the same person he was before, which is really
mm.
disturbing.
Yeah, he had
Um,
like having cat girl orgies and stuff is weird.
yeah, like he just doesn't give a shit. He's just making his fantasies come true now.
Hmm. And also
And
he's also blown up a bunch of people and doesn't seem to care. They had no reaction to the fact he's blown up a bunch of people.
yeah, and then you have the Chinese ones who are, other than the leader, extremely robotic
Yeah.
in that they have almost no free will.
Well,
Or
that's
never.
how Chinese people are, right?
Well, I mean, that's how
The government wants
Chinese
you.
government treats them anyway. Um, in that they don't question authority at all. And only towards the end do you see them, even her, start to question what she's been doing and why
Yeah,
she's doing
when
it.
yeah, because Chinese government did not tell them that they're going to degrade, and I think they knew that.
Yeah, and it becomes clear that they absolutely knew.
Hmm. The
Um,
government knew, but not the U.S. though.
well, yeah, the Chinese government absolutely knew and didn't tell her that because she volunteered to basically be their babysitter.
Hmm.
And it's quite clear that she didn't read the fine print either.
Yeah, but they wouldn't tell her at all.
Well, yeah, I
So,
mean, but that's what I mean. Like she didn't get the full
mm,
briefing either. She got what they wanted her to know. Um, and other than that, she was basically as much of a slave to them as the other two. And they're all flawed people,
mm,
and they all have their own personal motivations. And you're giving these flawed people, some of whom were not very good people in their day to day lives, basically unlimited
unlimited
power.
power. Yeah.
And so I think this is a really interesting story from a lot of different ways.
Mm,
From a pure sci-fi aspect of just the possibility of a human intelligence being uploaded into a computer and what would happen,
mm,
down to a character tale of what happens when somebody's plucked out of their life by either fate or on purpose and given extreme power
mm. Now,
with
now,
no limitations.
another sci-fi show that the sci-fi concept might be good for a show is, what if you put a computer program in a human's brain?
Well, that would be an interesting as well. Almost like, well, sci-fi's kind of done that in the past with characters like Data in Star Trek: The Next Generation, where he is anthropomorphic, but he's an android.
No. Ever seen a movie called Upgrade? That was more of an action movie though.
Oh, upgrade. Oh, yeah, I have seen that.
That's a really good movie. It actually inspired one of my comic book characters.
It's a cool thing where, although if it's a or a fairly self-aware program, it would basically start getting frustrated at the limitations of its body,
Exactly.
because it's kind of the opposite effect of
Mm,
this concept, where you're
mm,
taking a being that existed in cyberspace and knew that
mm,
and had no
mm,
physical form to limit it or slow it down in any way, and was limited only by its creativity and intelligence,
mm.
and then stick it in a meat suit.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's probably not going to be very happy about that.
yeah. There's gonna be a sequel movie. There's originally going to be a sequel movie to Upgrade to explore that, but the actor who played as the lead character and the player as Gray in Upgrade didn't want to come back. So
Fair.
so if you don't know, so what the problem is, I heard the creators of that movie are now trying to do a TV show, but it's different people getting implanted with STEM, which makes no sense because keep in mind he killed the original creator for that very reason, to stop that very thing from happening.
Well, it's kind of
So
Terminator syndrome in a way, where at the end of the first movie, well, they've stopped it.
no, and that's no, it's opposite of that. It's the other way around. Uh, uh, uh STEM is planning to take over the world or something. We don't know what STEM's going to do next, but um, after he took the guy's body, well,
Well, yeah, but I'm talking in terms of like destroying the tech so that it can't happen again.
yeah. There's no way, because he killed the guy creator to stop that very thing from happening again. So he wouldn't make another STEM. So now STEM is the guy's body and that human body. Now we don't know what STEM's going to do, but at the same time, they trying to work around the fact that the original actor is gone. Like, what's the
Yeah,
stupid?
and there's only a couple ways you can do that. I mean, you saw that with the Spartacus TV show on, is that Showtime? I think so. No, Stars.
Sorry.
Where the original actor who played Spartacus, the main character, died after the first season of cancer. So you either end the
Mm,
show there or you get another actor to play him. And they did do that in Spartacus, and it did end up working out. The second actor was pretty good too, but it
but
could have fallen flat hard.
well, and we got Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which is the stupid way out.
Yeah,
Which
or you basically just try to like, oh yeah, he's dead now.
that now what's her name? What's her name? Is
Shuri.
the main Shuri's the main character, and now
Yeah,
like, and so we supposed to buy this little skinny girl is now the Black Panther now.
yeah,
Uh,
and everyone's kind of looking at it like, well, we wanted to see Black Panther, not Black Panther's sister.
yeah,
And
and
I
now
get
now
that Chad Boseman died, and I like the fact that they didn't try to include him in the movie in any way, because that would feel disrespectful to me. Like,
I mean, some people say it should just recast them. I mean, I prefer that over not having Black
I
Panther
would
with nobody.
prefer that as well. Like, they cast another Black Panther
Mm,
and leave him as like, oh yes, he was T'Challa, he was the previous one, and he was great, and we loved him, and then do that funeral scene, which was really well done. And then it's the adventures of the new Black Panther
But
with a
you
new
know,
character that we've never seen before,
yeah,
which
but
would have been the smart way.
Shuri, nobody's gonna buy that though because Shuri is how's she gonna be Black Panther? It doesn't make any sense to me. She's a
Well, no,
this,
but I mean like have a new Black Panther that we've never seen before,
yeah, not Shuri because
not a
also
character that's already established.
yeah, because Shuri doesn't make any sense because she's so skinny and what you go expect the actors to take steroids? What I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah, and it
Like
it's
and
really hard to change the. You saw it with Falcon, where they tried to make him Captain America.
yeah, that doesn't.
And
First of all, the power sets don't even work well together. How do you have shield and wings at the same time?
yeah, that first of all, that didn't work well. And also, once you have a character established in a franchise, changing their entire role in the franchise is very difficult.
First of all, why they see the people will refer to Shield go to Bucky. Not to mention that would make more sense than Shield go to Falcon. That doesn't make any sense because the power sets don't even fit well together. The shield and the wings, like seriously, why does he need a shield? We got metal waves. He just bought blockbusters with that.
Yeah, and that was the thing fans hated about it to a large extent was Falcon is already his own character.
Yes, was on skill set.
Go let him be Falcon, and have Bucky be Captain America because that's how it went in the comics, I believe.
Yeah, and people preferred that because it makes more sense, especially from a power set standpoint, because Bucky has the same powers as Cap.
Yeah, and it also makes sense is really cool as a character standpoint, from a character standpoint of Bucky basically taking over from where his best friend left off.
Yeah,
And continuing Steve's legacy.
Here's another thing with Captain America. Captain America is somewhat similar to Batman. He has a lineage of sidekicks, but unlike Batman, here's the thing: unlike Batman, Captain America does not own the sidekicks' titles, meaning that each sidekick has his own title.
Yeah, like Dick Grayson is Robin, and then after he grows up, he turns into Nightwing.
And no, Captain America, each sidekick has his own unique title from the jump. It's not like you just don't multiple Robins or nothing with Captain America. Just first is Bucky, then it's Falcon, then it's Patriot. It goes on. He doesn't have, yeah. So
yeah, and, but it makes sense from that standpoint. But
Falcon's not a role.
Falcon, it just doesn't work.
Falcon's not,
same way shoving Shuri into the Black Panther role doesn't work.
Yeah. Falcons, The writers at Marvel seem to false. They don't know anything about comic books because they don't read them, and it seems to just think that Falcon's just like Robin. Like, no, Falcon's not a role like Robin. Falcon.
No, he was his own character that had his own adventures.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't have his own adventures. He's still Captain America's sidekick, but it's not a role. That's that. The Falcon name Falcon is associated with that role. Captain America goes to a bunch of sidekicks. They all have their own name.
Well, and if they thought he could stand on his own, they would have could have given him Falcon his own comic series.
What they never did, what they could have did, that would have been interesting.
And he was actually an interesting enough character that I think that could have succeeded.
Although the movie version of Falcon is somewhat more limited than comic Falcon. No. Because keep in mind, I know in the comic Falcon is different from the movie versions in some movie ways. He still got some same metal wings that allow him to fly, but in the comics, Falcon does have one superpower. He has. He can telepathically communicate with birds. So he can talk to birds.
Yeah,
which is useful, but that means it's more useful talking to fish.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind. I was gonna say that one's kind of a takeoff on Aquaman, which is
more useful
thing ever. But birds are a lot more places there are a lot more places that people would be than fish are.
Yeah, exactly. He actually used birds to spy on people in the comics. He done that multiple times. But it's more useful than talking to fish because.
But anyway, I gotta run. But
yeah, bye, everybody. This Pantheon was a good show.
Yes, absolutely check it out. I think it's only 6 episodes.
I think 8. Ain't only 8 episodes.
8 episodes. But it's a really good watch. And it's a really interesting concept, and one we didn't unfortunately get to see all that much of.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. This is in the broadcast.